Hello, welcome back. Good evening. Welcome back to the show. Happy to be back on a Sunday evening, and we've got a pump going on as we currently speak, which means that tomorrow morning is probably going to be really good. I'm assuming the futures market has opened positive. That's why we're getting a bit of a pump. Didn't get too much time to check. Let me see the... This is not right version of the chart. Yeah, we're kind of getting a bit of a bounce also on the S&P 500, NASDAQ, US 200, no. What is NASDAQ? NASDAQ 100. Yeah, same deal. We're getting a bit of a bounce coming out of oversold territory, finally. Heading back into the positive area. We have new pivot levels as well that have been generated. Next resistance is looking at 115,000. Our current price for Bitcoin is 114,700, almost 800. It was, so we're approaching that level to see if we're able to break out of that and continue higher. I do have a position open that I bought as soon as I ended the last stream, which was 2 days ago. We predicted the 112 bounce with a high degree of effectiveness. We bounced from, lowest point was actually 111,834. Great buying opportunity if you were able to catch that level that I have marked here for you. We also became oversold for Bitcoin around that area, and we are now bouncing back upwards. Are we fully back? I wouldn't say so yet. A lot of people I'm noticing are celebrating a bit too early, but I'd be cautious about that. We still have a downtrend, right? Super trend is still negative. 118,000 is where that invalidates. So after we break out of 115, we need to rise another 2-3% to break out of 118,000. That would just invalidate this downtrend, and we would continue an uptrend, which this one would be the one that we would have to follow, of course. And we still have another longer one, but this one is, it actually comes from April 7, April 9 low point to June 22nd low point. If you'll know these two dates, April 7, April 9, that was Liberation Day. This pump was caused by Trump giving a 90-day pause on the tariffs, which would have taken us over to July. But this drop over here was from June, which is when we were in that little conflict with the things going on in the Middle East, which almost provoked a World War III. But, you know, things worked out in the end. We are not exploded, so we are heading higher. What else we got after this 118 resistance? I mean, this is in the way. 122,000, 123 actually. Yeah, I'd say 123,000 is what we can focus on. It marks it as a second resistance from pivots, and it's also our all-time high level. So that's obviously going to be our next barrier that we would have to break once, of course, our trend flips back to the upside. So for now, we just have to wait to see if momentum will come to our side for the duration of this week. What do we got this week? Really, no fundamentals at all. Not a lot of economic data coming out that would be impactful to the markets or change anything such as, you know, rate cut probabilities. We did have a drastic change in that just recently, because based off of the non-farm payroll data that we got on Friday, markets were crashing due to the fact that we were no longer pricing in 2 rate cuts for this year. It was only looking like it was going to be 1, and we don't even know if that was going to happen in September, the next FOMC meeting. We now know with much higher certainty. You'll just notice that these percentages are always changing, but it's looking like a 90% chance that we will be getting a rate cut in September and a second one by December. So the 2 rate cuts are back. The markets, I still feel like they have to kind of price that back in. So we definitely do have the strength to continue back to where we were before, 118, 119,000, where we were the past couple of weeks with Bitcoin. So it can absolutely happen even this week. A lot of people are looking towards the upside for that. And it's not a big move that we have to do either. It's 3-4% that Bitcoin would have to be moving upwards so that we can continue our uptrend, right? Bull market is not over. is bottom line. What could drive us to the downside is really just the tariff stuff, which the worst has already happened. That's also part of Friday's crash, right? The August 1st tariffs coming into effect. From there, now it can't get any worse, right? Unless countries retaliate, which they probably won't. Countries would rather look to make deals. And that is also part of what we are coming to see next. For example, we are hearing that Mark Carney from Canada and President Trump are expected to talk over the next couple of days in terms of trade deals. After, of course, we got lied to, I would say, by the Liberals, saying that they would be the only ones who would be able to stand up against Trump, that Mark Carney was the strongest candidate for that. But turns out now we have the highest tariff out of most countries, right? 35% tariff is what we got slapped with. So they will be, we'll see if they can negotiate something out of that. What else do we got? The Russia, India, Ukraine ceasefire deal almost. I mean, we don't really have anything that was confirmed as of yet. We do have a response from India, from the President Narendra Modi, which we'll discuss. I'm not hearing much about the deadlines anymore. But ever since Trump announced that 10 to 12 day deadline, that would lead us till sometime with this upcoming week for something to get resolved. Now, what we know so far is just a negative response from Russia threatening to use nukes. At least that's what the ex-president has mentioned, who now holds another position of power in the Russian government, overseeing something. I'm not sure exactly what, but it has to do with the military. So, of course, Trump did not take that nuclear threat very lightly. He took it very seriously, so he sent nuclear submarines over to watch Russia and what they're doing. I guess kind of an intimidation factor, just to see what comes of that. And we'll discuss more in detail about that because I do have some articles. So there's that could be impactful this week. Nothing much else, really. So low fundamentals with Bitcoin's, Bitcoin doing what it does best, hedge against inflation. The mining, we're almost getting done with the mining. Only 1 million Bitcoins left, 1.1 million. There's a lot of people that are still willing to buy Bitcoin at these prices. We still think we're going to go much higher. We have analysts saying we're going to go much higher. So we'll also be discussing all of that. We still have enough room to rise as well. Like, we don't reach overbought territory, at these levels. Our RSI level momentum indicator is at 48. So before we reach 70, we could rise much higher. Probably over 118,000. Once we do break the downtrend, I'm assuming that's when we would become overbought. We might get a slight correction, of course, bounce off of the downtrend. I'm expecting something like this to happen. Correct. So we'll see if it does. Now, the positions that I have open, I'm earning a whopping $8 on this Bitcoin position, minus 83 cents. The most commission I'm paying out of all of these. That's unfortunate. But, I mean, they're all the same size, roughly. I entered another position, on Chainlink and also on Solana. These were levels that I had drawn from before. They weren't big positions, but I was preparing for something worse, which things kind of turned around. So now people's vision for this upcoming week is positive, right? Toward the upside is what a lot of people are expecting. But I would still be cautious because we still have things that could, anything can turn this stuff around. So you got to be careful either way for both sides. But for now, it's looking positive. We could ride the wave. I give you permission to do that. Let me go have a look at Ethereum. It's recovering almost 4% today. 3,544 is the current price. We bottomed out at 3,355, which that's not a level that I would have predicted, right? I don't see why this is specifically the level it decided to bounce off of, but it is what it is. After a drawdown of 12%, we are now back up about 5%. Pivot level is our resistance. You're looking at 3,590. Yeah, this did not care about the Fibonacci level at all, this drawdown. But hey, if this uptrend is invalid, we'll now have to focus on this uptrend. And in terms of any downtrends, it's very, very early to tell because Ethereum has actually held up strong compared to the rest, but that is the downtrend that we're currently seeing and the one that's priced into the super trend, right? It's practically following that downtrend. So, you know, it could be either way for now. You'll notice a couple levels here. This between 3,509 and 3,590, that is a possible consolidation level. We could go a little higher than that, of course. Maximum 3,000, what is this? 3,750. Minimum to 3,300. But we could essentially just be in the middle over here. Sorry for drawing all these lines. Because we have a triangle pattern, right? That means we could either shoot upwards or shoot downwards once that triangle breaks. As of right now, you'll notice RSI, we're like right in the middle. This looks like a evergreen tree hot dog. I don't know what it looks like. So that's the prediction for now. Supports, we have a very clear one at 3,242. 3,240, let's call it that. And then another one at 3,015. Sure. Between those two levels. In terms of resistances, of course, I mentioned that. Pivot level 3,590. And then breaking out of the downtrend, we could expect a slowdown at 3,825 before we reach the high that we hit on July 28, 3,941. We were so close to 4,000 on Ethereum. I saw my Ethereum positions on here. I'm like, I could absolutely just sell this and get some really good profit. I decided not to. Probably the wrong decision, but if we do approach that level again, this time I promise I'll sell Ethereum at 4,000 because it's made me suffer a lot, and that's kind of my revenge tour for Ethereum. I've been loading up even after getting heavily liquidated, not as much as I would have liked to, and I have kept some positions saved by adding margin, and those are kind of, you know, in the battle. So we'll see. I don't know. I probably will decide to sell once we pass 4,000 at least. All right, so it's looking good as well. We did reach an oversold area over here. These would have been two great opportunities for buying right over here due to this one. And same thing with this one. Great opportunities for buying. I was busy during these days, so I did not do it. Or I probably saw this one. This was probably when I was last live. Yeah, August 1st. I probably just decided to not buy Ethereum anyway. But yeah, they did break their uptrends, the first ones. They are now in this little consolidation area. Solana is at 163, up 2.43%, bouncing off of this level, and I was comfortable with entering Solana because I feel like after reaching a high of 206, Solana dropping down to 157, I feel like that is a steal. Like, we can easily bounce off that level and get some really good return. About 22% plus that it could rise before reaching those 200 plus levels again. So I'm excited for that. Making 30 in this position already. Although I really disagree with the fact that it did not let me buy precisely $300. It made me buy a rounded number of Solana for whatever reason. So I have 5 Solanas, I guess, in total in there, which it's like 800. Less than that. It's supposed to be like 790 something probably. Which, it's fine. I'm still making profit on it, so not as much as I would have liked, but it is what it is. I do also have another trigger order. Do I? Do I even have one anymore? I should. No, I don't. I guess I was waiting to see if we would drop any further than this. I was probably not expecting it to, so that's why we only have this one. Second trigger order would probably... I was probably waiting for the pivot levels. That's probably why. Because we were really close to it, right? Pivot levels were expiring in like one day, less than a day. And I wasn't even online yesterday. I was too busy. So today comes to this realization. I would average out between these two prices, the fib at 143.16. I'll do the calculation right now. 143.16 plus the new pivot support, 146.753. Gives us this amount divided by 2. So on average, 144.95 is where I would technically put another order. Matter of fact, I'll do it right now. Copy this, and we're putting 500 on that one. Gives me 10 Solanas. Sure. I disagree with this. Why don't you let me put decimals? See, the cost of it is 483, even though I'm putting 500. The $20 is not going to be part of it. So, yeah, I guess it only rounds to a specific amount of Solanas. And this does make sense as well. If something devastating happens and we do continue with a drop, we're going to drop to this level and then bounce back up. It's going to become oversold again down here. And look at RSI level. It's actually pretty low, 40. So there's more potential to the upside by breaking these downtrends. This is an immediate downtrend. It's easily going to be broken. The one we're probably going to pay more attention to is this one right over here. Super trend is coinciding with that Fibonacci level. Could serve as a resistance. And you're looking at 175. So breaking out of this one first at 166. That could happen within the next couple of hours even. Bless you. And then pivot level 170, psychological as well. And then super trend should flatten out over here. And it coincides with this next downtrend right there at 175. That's the major resistances that we could see for Solana. Whether we bounce from those downward, it will delay us more time. You'd probably see, you know, maybe super trend. I don't think super trend's going to do that. Like we'd need price to like drop further so that super trend would give us a mercy drop as well by heading lower to here maybe. If we get like a drop, like, sorry, if this bounce is unsuccessful and then we break out of it at a different point, then super trend will do something like this. And then this would be the level that we'll have to break out of, depending on the time it takes for us to reach those levels. So could either be 170, that's why this pivot level is drawn, or it could be the 175 if things go absolutely well, right? Great drawings. Okay, moving on is XRP. We are above $3 again just now. 301 is the current price, rising 8.70%. Top gainer. XRP surges past McDonald's. Crypto giant. Okay. Well, we're beating the market cap of McDonald's by the looks of it. Let me confirm that. McDonald's right over here. And where is XRP? Do we even have that? Okay, I don't think it's going to show me. McDonald's market cap is this. It should show me the cryptocurrencies in here as well. $216 billion. XRP is $176 billion. No. Yes. 178 billion. 216 billion. We're nowhere near that. 178 billion. It's right over here. What are we talking about here then? Is AI lying to us? Okay, well. They're being delusional. We'll ignore that. I guess we're on our way to beating McDonald's market cap. What was our market cap in our all-time high for XRP? I could confirm that with checking market cap and going to a month. Should show us the highest point right over here. What is this amount? 213, 215 billion. Let's just say 215 billion. And McDonald's was 216 billion. Okay. I guess that kind of matches, right? We probably crossed that, like if McDonald's was slightly lower than that, like 215, 214 billion. Sure. XRP did eventually pass McDonald's in market cap, so that's a major development. When it was at its all-time high, which it absolutely can reach that once again. A lot of it was profit taken and just recent fears about no rate cuts of this year, but that's kind of fading away now. So this week, we can expect XRP a rise, another 8% rise to 324. We got a lot of levels coinciding over here, and it's going to be a major resistance, something really difficult to break out of. But if we do, it's going to be explosive. First of all, it wouldn't surprise me if we got a lot of short positions pushing price downward, right? Right from over here. Then you've got the super trend level, resistance 1 from pivots, and then Fibonacci retracement as well. That could serve as... It's not necessarily going to be resistances, but this is supposed to be a support. The support could become the resistance. We kind of use this as a resistance a couple times over here. Approximately. So I would agree that that level would be important. 324. Breaking out of $3 is important. If we can close above this, we'll stay out of this recent downtrend line. We'll probably focus more on this. In order for this downtrend, the super trend, to continue, of course, XRP's price would have to rise up to here and then bounce back off of it a little lower to reaccumulate if possible. If the liquidity is sitting around $3 over here, it should be a simple bounce back up and then we could take off once again. And if that is the case, we just have to readjust the downtrend like that. So could give multiple scenarios there. I think this is probably the not better, but more likely outcome, because not everything just shoots up. I mean, it probably can. It's cryptocurrency, so anything can happen. But that would be my estimation. If things go smoothly, not a lot of fundamentals this week, that's the kind of vibe I'd get from it. We did bounce from 272 was our lowest point. Also hitting oversold territory would have been a great buying opportunity, especially if you used this Fibonacci as a possible bounce. It did give you that pretty accurately, so good job if you took advantage of that. I do not want to buy XRP at these high prices at all. SUI, I was contemplating if I should buy at this level or a little bit lower. I came to the conclusion that SUI is a volatile asset, and it probably will spike down and hit this trigger order. Long story short, it did not. So I don't have any open position on SUI, at least not on this account. So we broke out of this immediate downtrend, which this is a good buy signal, I guess, if you're playing it safe, right? But if you're a risky player, oversold down over here would have been a great opportunity. At 326 was our lowest point. Since then, SUI has now recovered. We are currently up 3.81%, and the price is 349, almost at 350. In terms of resistances, I'd focus on pivots. 371, $4 psychological, 415, and then all-time high, 444. Not all-time high, actually. This is just a recent high. Litecoin, I think it's just stayed here. It actually held strong. It unfortunately did flip its super trend a bit negative, but that was to be expected anyway. Everything else did as well. But we are on our way back up. Currently colliding with this resistance at 111.46. The current price is 111.09. And super trend meets with this resistance one at 116 approximately, which would also coincide with a bit of this downtrend, which is, if you don't know, this downtrend is from our all-time high since 2021. So it's not any downtrend, it's the downtrend. Break out of that, and Litecoin will go up forever. Not really, but yeah. So 116, look out for that. If we're able to close above 111, you can go up another 4.50%. Otherwise, we have supports clearly at 104, 103. It's the levels that we bounced off of over here. Liquidity is sitting down here, so it'll help you boost up. Did not actually reach any oversold levels on RSI, so Litecoin has been doing its own thing. I'll admit that. Cardano is up 5% today as well. Huge movement. 0.68 was the lowest point that it reached. I had a trigger order over here. Unfortunately, it did not get filled. So I could adjust it actually now that we have new pivot levels, probably somewhere around over here. But I mean, will we even drop to that? What is it? It was 66.60. 0.66.9, so almost 67 cents. Couldn't really reach that. Support 1 is at 65, so I'd average out these two, 67 and 65. It should give me 66. That's probably where I would modify the order to, and I think I will do that. This is a order for how much? Probably 300. Yeah, definitely. Either way, we did reach oversold levels over here for Cardano, so would have been good. 0.672 plus 0.65435. So that divided by 2 is 66.31. All right. That's where I'd put this trigger order. If we ever do drop, like a 10% drop, it'll fulfill that easily. We are still in a downtrend, though. Keep this in mind. To break out of that, looking at 80. We have resistances at 77, 75. We're at 73 currently. Still got some room to run for Cardano. Got to give it some more time. Would one agree that we bounced from this uptrend? I wouldn't agree so, but I'll still readjust it nonetheless. If this was the bottom, we could use it for future purposes, but I'd still be careful with it. Hyperliquid is one of the coins that I really wanted to enter. We do have a downtrend that has been prolonged since July 13, actually. Because Hyperliquid kind of does its own thing. Doesn't really follow the rest of the market, most cases. And I couldn't really find any perfect levels to set up any entries, right? I wouldn't have been able to predict this drop. 35 would have been a great price for entering, but I still think it's a little too much. We can reach 50 though, and Hyperliquid is also a volatile asset. Like today itself is already up 5%. Current price is 38. I could enter here and move forward, but I don't think I will. 38 is an entry though, based off the Fibonacci bounce. But I'll wait for maybe 35. Low 35 over here. 34.99 approximately there. We are still in a downtrend. Maybe I'll regret it. But I'll be patient with my exposure to Hyperliquid because it is a volatile asset, like I said. So I'm not putting in any orders right now. I'll just keep my eye on it. And the last asset I have over here is Chainlink. This is a beautiful, perfect bounce as well. Chainlink follows price action relatively well, I've noticed. So, and it's making me the most right now. 53 currently in gains. We're approaching our next level, 1671. The current price is 1653. I entered at 1561. This is probably like a support level. I could check historical data, right? Let me check historical data, historical pivots. There we go. Yeah, it was exactly that. So the support 2 and Fibonacci level kind of predicted that bounce. It was good as well. Oversold, right? So that's precisely where I entered, and we have a huge bounce back upward. Could I take profits? Yeah, but do I really want to? I don't think I will. The positions aren't large. I'm fine with them drawing down another 13%. I have another trigger order ready over here, although I'll probably have to readjust it to up here because I had this averaged out from last week to down here at 1430. So I'm going to readjust this one. It's a $500 position, and that'll be at 14.501 plus 14.583 divided by 2. So it's going to be 1454 with 2. Dropping 500 on that gives me 103 links. That's the next bounce I'm hoping to hit, right? Look at that. I even have another one down here. How ruthless. So I'll remove these because we kind of got the point. Remove that. This is really tight. Like I'm liking the price action on this, really, for Chainlink. It's looking really good. So that one's going to be... How do I even average this out? The numbers are so next to each other. 12,939 plus 12,928. I need to put the 7 there. This is the average. 12,933. That will be $800. All of these are 3x leveraged positions. Because it's very unlikely an asset like this will drop 30%. I mean, it can. For it to drop 30% from here, you're looking at 11, right? From the current price. From all of these averaged out, like I'd probably have an average around here. 30% from there would be at $9. Have you ever seen Chainlink at $9? Didn't think so. $10 is the lowest point, and I bought this point with pride on April 6th. So I hit that one perfectly. No, I think it was this one, actually. It would have been this one, 1092. So, yeah, it was this one. I did take good profit on Chainlink as well. So, that's a good V-shaped recovery. You clearly see that. I'm not crazy, right? Okay, cool. So that's all we got. Those are the positions. They're all in profit so far. Good bounce. Everybody looks like a genius in a bull market. So I'm not that smart. It's just price levels. It's good when it's like on a weekend. You can really focus on price action because there's absolutely no fundamentals that'll come out. Unless a Trump tweet does come out. But you get the point. Speaking of Trump, let's move on to our news segment. Trump surprises the nation with a bold statement suggesting that tariffs could potentially eliminate all income taxes. And this is something that has been discussed before, but now he's really talking about it. He's aiming to eliminate income taxes for those earning under $200,000 annually by using tariff revenue. That'll save a lot of ordinary people money in taxes because he is confident enough that these tariffs that he has imposed will more than compensate for that. And I don't know for how much, though. How much tariff revenue would be able to compensate for stuff like, you know, income taxes. It is what it is. It's income taxes. I'd prefer it to be capital gains taxes, but I think we're going to have to wait. When we get that zero capital gains tax announcement on crypto, that will be huge. But for now, it's he's focusing on income taxes, which, fair enough. Not everyone's a crypto investor. Everybody is an income taxpayer, so it falls under more people, especially if you earn under 200K. He also mentioned that the U.S. economy will boom in 5 to 6 months. You know what else is happening in 5 to 6 months? We're likely going to get those rates cut, of course. So, and of course, if you do know M2 money supply chart, it's looking really high. It's always making all-time highs. So, wouldn't surprise me if that is the case. Now, this is the big news. 80% chance of getting rate cuts in September. This is outdated. It's actually almost 90%, 89.1% chance that we get a rate cut. So this means 10% chance we keep rates where they are at 425 to 450. It's really 450. And it's looking like we're going to get a 25 basis point rate cut. 90% chance of that happening in the meeting of September 17, which was something that we were predicting anyway. But by December, and it's looking like we're actually going to get the second rate cut even sooner than this. And we might even get a third rate cut for the rest of this year. 60% chance, 60-40 in October 29. 60% chance that we'll get the second rate cut to 400 basis points, right? Another 25 basis point rate cut. And then it's the opposite in December, 40-60%. 40% chance that we'll get a third rate cut, and then a 60% chance that we'll just keep it with the 2 rate cuts by December. But these are really good percentages that we're finally seeing. The rates, the interest rates getting cut by the Fed is something that we do want to see. And in order for that to happen, in order for the Fed to feel pressured to do these rate cuts, we would basically need no inflation and a good economy. Some way that, because they always, that's their goal, is to balance the economy. Either that or, you know, something crazy like, you know, the tariff stuff will always make the Fed kind of want to cut rates, or maybe they think that it's a 50-50. They don't know what to do with tariffs. Will it cause inflation? If yes, then we don't have to cut rates. If it won't cause inflation, then yeah, we can cut rates and get inflation on the move to get the economy moving, right? Otherwise, it gets too restrictive. We got to do quantitative easing. And the buybacks of the treasuries, I think, that's also helping it. M2 money supply is also on the rise. It's only a matter of time before the US gets part of that in there. There you go. Now, moving on to Russia, India, Ukraine. A top aide to President Trump has accused India of financing Russia in their war with Ukraine. That is a bold claim. Just 24 hours ago, Indian officials said that India will buy Russian oil despite President Trump's threats. If you don't know, Trump put tariffs on India for basically that, to try to hurt Russian economy, because India buys a lot of oil from Russia, for example. So in order to destabilize the Russian economy, that way to kind of make them end of the war, like, you know what, it's not profitable, let's find a way to get a ceasefire going with the war, because we need our biggest client, India, to keep buying our oil. But it seems like, I mean, basically this, BRICS, Russia and India are part of this little group that they have, where they will obviously back each other and not let each other's economies fail. There were always these talks about creating their own currency, the BRICS currency, to stay away from the US dollar, for example, for trading. There was even talks about they could use crypto for trading. But ultimately nothing else came of that. Trump threatened lots of tariffs on all these countries if they avoided using the US dollar, so I guess they will still do that, right? Nothing came of that since then. And it seems like India is doubling down on their partnership with Russia, because they even, did I say president before, is Prime Minister Modi urged citizens to buy locally made goods following President Trump's tariffs. Awfully resemblant of what we're seeing here in Canada, by the way, where we're saying, oh, buy Canadian, don't buy American goods because of the tariffs. We want to fight the tariffs. I don't know. It's not looking too good for Canadian economy anyway, so maybe Indian economy will have the same effect, although I don't think so. We'll see. It all depends on whatever data we get from them. Anyways, and we even have a bold claim from Medvedev. This whole talk about nuclear stuff. He says that Trump shouldn't think that the video archive of his past immoralities is only in Mossad's hands, obviously referring to Epstein stuff, kind of attacking him on that end, right? So now we're waiting for Trump to throw the next punch on this little drama that they've been having, right? This all started with the nuclear talks. Moving on from that, Justin Sun, founder of Tron, was in space. He just came back to Earth, and yeah, he went on this space trip with Blue Origin, comes back, kisses the Earth, and says, this is my first commitment and step to the space. We will have more. I don't know, what's next? Is he going to Mars? He's got a lot of money, and he's backed by Trump. We'll see. We'll see if he does do that. We also have Securities Exchange Commission. They will be holding crypto roundtables across the United States. This is good for regulation talks, and of course further strengthens the point that yes, the US will be the crypto capital of the world. They are working towards that. That promise has not yet been depleted, right? M2 money supply, we know this is not one-to-one, but the trend is basically the same. Each drop is practically priced in. It's looking like the next leg up is coming soon, so that is what a lot of people are expecting as well. They're thinking that this week is the week that will start rising. I could kind of agree, but I'd still be cautious with it. There's less than 1.1 million Bitcoins left to mine. There's 450 Bitcoins that get mined every day. There are 8 billion people in the world. There's not going to be enough for everyone. It's going to cause a supply shock ultimately. And so people are still betting that Bitcoin will continue to go higher. And it just might. So we'll see. You know what else has been happening is the stablecoin market cap has grown by $61 billion since January. That's a lot of stablecoins waiting to buy, I'm assuming, these dips. That money can flow into Bitcoin at any time. Or any other assets, right? Although 61 billion, will that really have an effect on crypto's price? Like, really? Not really. It'll just rise this to 2.289. It's not going to have a big impact. Although Tether, okay, it's increased by that amount, but not everything is in it, of course. There's still 163 billion Tethers, 64 billion USD Circle. So, I mean, that combined even still will not change Bitcoin's market cap. I mean, it will change the market cap, but it won't change the price by much, is ultimately what I'm trying to say. It will have a good impact, though. So, you know, people waiting to buy. What else we got? Market maker updates. So this is in terms of the manipulation that could have been happening 2 days ago. It definitely was happening. We see the on-chain data. Everybody was saying, or everybody is saying, myself included, oh yeah, the drop that we had 2 days ago, that's because the tariff stuff happening, bad economic data, Trump firing the non-farm payroll reporter, whatever it was, for reporting false data, basically. This happened before the election to make Biden look good, and then after the election it was revised significantly lower. And now we're getting the same deal over here where it's looking like things are good, and then now, of course, that we didn't get our rate cut last meeting, now we're getting revised data saying, yeah, actually the economy is doing bad. So, or it's not doing bad, it's just not doing as good as we would have been expecting. It's not meeting the expectations, right? So that's causing a lot of uncertainty. Like, okay, what is this tariff stuff actually good or not? Trump seems to believe that it still will be good. Anyways, the real thing though is the parade that these companies, these exchanges, Binance and Coinbase mainly, sending all this money, selling it off to market makers. Wintermute being the biggest one. You see that with Solana, with Ethereum. 110,000 Solanas in the last 18 hours sent from Binance to Wintermute, and then 8,000 Ethereums as well from Binance to Wintermute in the last 4 hours alone. This happened yesterday. It's clear that in the transactions where the assets are going and that they are not client withdrawals. Here is Binance proof of reserves for July. They are reporting having no SOL and no Ethereum outside customer funds. So where are all the assets coming from? Simple question. All facts on-chain from... Okay, yeah. It's all just market manipulation. Michael Saylor seems to believe that we are not having a crypto winter anymore. It's not coming back. But coincidentally, we did not get the orange dot post today. It is Sunday, right? And these are the days usually when Michael Saylor will say, oh yeah, it needs a little bit more orange. And he would show the chart with all the orange dots, meaning that the next day, of course, he's going to buy more Bitcoin. It seems like he's taking a break on it this week, which, bad move in my opinion. That was a great time to have DCA'd into Bitcoin due to this dip over here, oversold. Like, that's a great opportunity. But seems like he's not going to do anything about it. Oh well. Can't always buy, can't always have billions, millions actually. He is what he usually buys. In Switzerland, there was the Satoshi Nakamoto statue, the Bitcoin inventor, that it just suddenly went missing. We don't know who did it, why they did it. It's pretty funny. And turns out that it was found later on in the water. Like, I don't know who did this, but yeah, it's pretty funny. We also have this story. It's a sad story. This guy, James Howells, he threw away a hard drive which had 8,000 Bitcoins in it. This was back in 2013, when 8,000 Bitcoins was, what, $8? Now it's worth $950 million, of course, in today money, 8,000 Bitcoins. He, of course, regrets this decision of throwing out that hard drive, and now he was searching and searching all these landfills for that very small hard drive to try to recover his Bitcoins. Hey, put yourself in his shoes, right? If you had to dig through trash with the possibility of finding $950 million, I think everybody would do that, right? Um, why is it saying it would be worth 8 billion by 2030? Is that because of analyst predictions? Yeah, probably. Well, anyways, today he ended his search. He's given up. He can't find it. He is just gonna say that, you know what? It is what it is. I lost $950 million. And Binance is memeing on this, saying like he's giving up right before reaching the end. Like you should keep trying kind of deal, right? I'm sure a lot of people would encourage him to do the same, but I mean, since 2013, searching for that hard drive, or maybe he started searching for it recently. No, I don't know. It's been too long. That's long gone. So there you go. Don't throw out your Bitcoins. And also that is 8,000 Bitcoins that are taken out of circulation practically permanently. There's no way to recover that. Not even for the guy that threw it away, not even for anybody else. And I also heard about like Michael Saylor planning to burn Bitcoins by, you know, doing the same thing, sending them to an invalid address and just making them disappear, causing it even a harder supply shock, which he can absolutely do that, by the way. He has enough Bitcoin to have an effect on the price by doing that. It would be generous on his end, and who knows, maybe when it all ends, he'll just do that. Just send Bitcoin to nothing by, you know, sending Bitcoin to an address, right? That does nothing, which is essentially burning the Bitcoin, taking it out of circulation, making it more scarce, like a last wish for humanity where he could make everyone just a little bit richer. That'd be pretty cool. OPEC Plus announced a production increase, so that means oil is crashing. Short positions have been increasing for oil, and I think it is probably a good time to start buying oil because it is on the cheaper side of things once again. Not fully cheap, but you know, it's getting there. Maybe 65, below 65 would be good. We're currently on the way down. The price of oil is 66, and it's been on the drop the past couple of days over here. This rise over here was due to June 22, from that peak point where we were about to hit World War III as soon as the United States got involved with Israel attacking Iran. A lot of people got spooked with that, myself included. So, of course, oil, anything that happens in the Middle East in terms of war, will make oil prices spike up. But then after that, we kind of chilled back down over here. And I don't know, since then I have not really paid attention to oil at all. We're about to break this uptrend in terms of super trend here. So could present a good buying opportunity, especially if this reaches oversold territory in the 4-hour chart, which you could expect that to happen around over here. Why is this one yellow? Can I change the color? How do I change color? Here. Make it this blue, and that's too light. That's good. All right. So I wanted to share for oil. And in terms of stocks, if you do follow them in any way, we have a lot of earnings coming up this week. Palantir's there, Wayfair among the most popular. McDonald's again making an appearance here. Novo Nordisk, Shopify, Uber, Duolingo, AMD, Pfizer, Caterpillar. What else is important? DraftKings, Ali Lilly Company, Vistra Energy, Tempest AI, it's going to be good. Wendy's, Pinterest, I don't know. I never checked Pinterest. SoundHound will be there. Yeah, so interesting stuff. Oh, Rivian as well. Electric vehicle company. So, yeah, there you go. In case you care or asked. Okay. That'll be all for today's stream. Thanks, guys, so much for watching the analysis. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like and subscribe. I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is a holiday for Canada, so low volatility for Canadian markets specifically, but the rest of the market should be functional as normal